Hey guys, it's Hillary. Welcome back to my channel, Enneagram and Coaching. I'm your certified Enneagram life coach that loves to teach you guys an easy way to understand the Enneagram. And today I'm going to be teaching you guys the subtypes of the type 5, the observer. But before we get started, don't forget to push that subscribe button down below and give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Let's go ahead and get started into what this video is about today. Okay, so what is a subtype? So say you're a type 5, you have your type. Oh, then you have your wings, and then you have your 3 subtypes, which means each type has 3 instincts. Does that make sense? And one of those instincts is dominant. So you might have heard the term before SP, SO, and SX. That's what that means. Those are your instincts, and I'm going to describe those in even more detail. So, okay, are you following me? Take notes because this is a lot of information that's going to be coming your way. But let's start with, you have the 3 instincts. And these are based off the 3 primary instincts that motivate a person's behavior. So each person has 3 primary instincts that motivate them. And so you have the SP, which is called self-preservation instinct. And you have the SO, and that is called social instinct. And you have the SX, and that is called sexual instinct. But you also might have heard that one called one-to-one instinct. Is this making sense so far? And you might have heard before, you know, I'm a 5, but I'm a social 5, or I'm a 5 and I'm a self-preservation 5, or a sexual 5. That is why they're saying that. It's those instincts. That is what that means. And so each of the type 5s are going to have a different set of concerns based on their dominant instinct. And of those 3 subtypes or 3 instincts, one is going to be dominant. And this is the one that you learned in childhood to mostly rely on. The second one is used, but not as much. So you haven't had to rely on that instinct as much throughout your life. And then the third instinct is usually a blind spot. You might not have used it at all, or you're blind to using it. So that's what we say. You have a dominant instinct, one that you mostly have used throughout your life. And then the second instinct you use, you know, if the first one you don't need, then the second one kind of comes in. And then the third one's usually blind, but not always. Some people can use all 3. So does that make sense so far? You have 3 instincts. One you've used a lot throughout your life. The second one you haven't had to use as much, but you've definitely used it. So it's developed. And the third one might have not needed to be developed throughout your life, and it's a blind spot. Okay, so let's move on to what are the instincts. What are those? I want to break the instincts down before we go into what are the subtypes of the 5. The first instinct is called self-preservation, and that one would be labeled SP. And what that means, their main priority is having and maintaining physical safety and comfort. And this is an instinct, right? And a lot of people, this is a common instinct. It's, you know, concerns with food, money, clothing, housing, your health, you know, stuff like that. That's kind of a concern. That's an instinct in us. When healthy, this dominant instinct will look like they are able to take care of themselves and their basic life necessities. So they're able to do all of that. It's an instinct in them, right? And not everybody has this instinct. And if it's a blind spot, so it's an instinct you really haven't needed in life, or you haven't used it all, this means that the basics to you don't come naturally. It might not necessarily occur to the person that they need to eat and sleep. Now they're going to, but it's not their first instinct. They might go and stay busy and do all this stuff and stay up late and, you know, getting things done, but they forget. They're like, oh my gosh, it's 2 a.m. I haven't even went to sleep. Or, you know, or I haven't even eaten all day. That's an instinct in us that tells us, you know, that's an instinct in us that gets developed. And so if, you know, it's not your first instinct, that doesn't mean it's like bad. It just might not be your first instinct. So let's move on to what the second instinct is, and that is a social instinct. And this social instinct is labeled SO. This instinct helps us be aware of other people. And they'll usually have a desire to be liked. They'll want approval of people. You know, they'll feel safe with other people. Social types are going to want to have a positive impact on other people. And if this instinct hasn't been developed and it's more of your blind spot, it'll look like you might have little interaction with others. You might feel like you don't need people. People don't need you. Maybe this is just an instinct that hasn't been developed yet. And then moving on to the last instinct, which is called sexual instinct, or labeled SX, or also called one-to-one. This one's super aware of the chemistry between them and another person, so that's the instinct. So the first one, you're aware of like your surroundings, right? The second instinct, you're aware of all the people around you. And then this third instinct is you're aware of the other person. You have that one-to-one intimate chemistry. You're more aware of that, especially if this is your dominant instinct. This instinct seeks intense contact. This might look like jumping out of a plane or doing something crazy or watching an intense movie or reading a book that's really amazing, but it's very intense or just exciting. This instinct just loves intensity in their life, and they gravitate towards people they feel chemistry with. And if this instinct is the least developed, and like I said on the other two, maybe it's your blind spot, what that would look like is you might have a harder time getting excited or enthusiastic about other things in your life. Okay, to sum it up, all three instincts, they're good instincts. One is no better than the other. You need all three to survive in life, but just like I've said, I feel like I'm kind of a broken record. One is dominant. It's used mostly in your life. The second one is used a little bit in your life. And the third one, maybe not at all, or a blind spot. So let's move into what are subtypes. So if you have the 5, the subtype of the 5 would be SP, SO, or SX. That's why it's a subtype. Let's go ahead and dig into the self-preservation 5. So this subtype most looks like the type 5. This is like when you think of a type 5, it's usually you're thinking of a self-preservation 5. This subtype is very aware of their own boundaries. They want the most space. They're not going to be shy about asking for it. They need to have a place of safety that they can retreat to. I've heard that the self-preservation 5 is the loner of the Enneagram. Out of all the types, this one needs the most solitude. Because why? People can easily overwhelm them and drain them of energy. They have peace the most when they have limited obligation and can be on their own schedule and stay home. Their home is their castle. And what this means to them is it is their safe place, the place that they can tune out the world and not have to depend on anyone for their survival. Now, they do enjoy the company of a few people, usually people that are like-minded or people that have earned their trust. They are just more warm and friendly with these people. All right, so that's a little bit about the self-preservation 5. Let's move on to the social 5. What does that look like? So this one is the most intellectual 5. The search for knowledge for them is power. That's why they're searching for knowledge, because of the power behind it. This one is looking for the ultimate meaning in life. They're always searching for the meaning of life. I would say out of the 3 subtypes of the 5, this is the most extroverted and social 5 that there is. But usually with people that share their interests. So they're extroverted and social, but a lot of times it's with people who share common interests. So we know the 5's basic weakness is avarice, which means they keep their knowledge to themselves. They will hold on to their resources because they are afraid in the end of catastrophic depletion. But the social 5 will actually share their knowledge, values, and ideals, but not their space, time, and resources. Does that make sense? They're way more willing to share their knowledge, but maybe not share everything. And social 5s can be fun and engaging. They definitely do seek recognition and prestige. So that's a little bit about the social 5. Let's move on to the last one, the sexual 5, or the 1-to-1 5. And the letters for that one is SX. This 5 is more intense and romantic and emotionally sensitive. They're going to be searching for a more idealized version of a relationship and love. And this can be a source of meaning in their life. They are going to want to love and trust an ideal partner, but are still going to want that relationship to be private. Because in the end, the type 5s, they are private people. So the 1-to-1 5 or the sexual 5, they're very 1-to-1 oriented. And this can actually be with a relationship, a friend, or even a task. So and what this looks like, so if they're in a relationship, they're going to share the deepest parts of them with them. They're way more of that 1-to-1 connection. And with their friendships, they're going to have amazing, deep conversations. They're going to go there. They really want to go to those deeper places. And then with like skills and tasks, they're going to put everything they have in it. They're going to get lost in it. This can go on for hours and hours and hours. That one-on-one with the skill or the task or the researching or figuring out stuff, that's where that intensity comes from, and they can do it for long periods of time. And so that is the 3 subtypes of the type 5, which each subtype is an instinct. I hope that makes sense by the end of this. I hope that this was easy to digest and that you understood. But yeah, where do you guys find yourself? If you're a type 5, did this help you figure out your subtype? If it did, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to know what your subtype is and if you'd add anything to it. If you're like, I'm an SP, I'm a self-preservation 5, but that looks a little bit more like this in my life, let me know in the comments below. Let us learn from each other. But that's all I have for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and press subscribe. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm Hillary_McCaskey_coaching. And if by the end of this you still find yourself confused and you're like, actually, I need someone to help walk me through this, I offer a Discover You typing session to where we figure out your type, we figure out your wings, and we even figure out your subtype usually. So all of that stuff is linked below in the description box. But yeah, that's all I have today, guys. Until next time, bye guys.